Good morning. It's January 12th, and this is To My Liberal Friends. Well, here we are in 2023, and politics are starting to come up as we expected. In the House of Representatives, Republicans have a majority. In the Senate, the Democrats have a slim majority. And Joe Biden sits in the White House trying to figure out where he's at. Well, let's look at the House Republicans. We all saw a very dysfunctional House go through 15 votes to get Kevin McCarthy elected as Speaker. The holdouts from the Freedom Caucus, which I often refer to as Freedom from Governing Caucus, kept demanding more and more, and McCarthy ended up giving in to a lot of concessions, which we've talked about in the past. But that's over now, and now Republicans have to start figuring out how to govern from the House of Representatives. And if they're going to have this dysfunctional House where this small group controls everything that they do, they're not going to have the majority for more than these 2 years. They need to focus on legislation, things that address the issues that the American people care about. Now, there are some investigations that they have to do, and they're obviously ones that they're warranted to do. Politically, they probably are going to do the Hunter Biden investigation. They're going to look into the origin of COVID, and they can get by with those. But they can't just make that their focus and the only thing they're doing. They have to produce legislative results. Now, I think they should look at what's going on with Social Security. Do we need a reform there? They need to look at an immigration bill and pass one and force the Democrats to react to it. They need to look at the tax policy of this country, not just attacking the IRS, but how the actual tax policy is going to work. Remember, the 2017 tax bill passed by Trump and the Congress, much of that expires in 2025. And so they need to start looking long-term instead of short-term. Over in the Senate, the Democrats have their own problems. They've got multiple members who are vulnerable up for re-election in 2024. John Tester's got to decide if he's going to run in Montana. Debbie Stabenow's already said she's not going to run in Michigan, and that's a state that's in play. Tim Kaine in Virginia is deciding whether he's going to run. There's a state that just elected a Republican governor. And Joe Manchin is in trouble in West Virginia. He's been very popular there as a former governor, but he traded his vote for the Mountain Valley Pipeline and didn't get it. And so he has nothing to show for caving in on a massive spending bill. Then you have the situation out in Arizona where Kyrsten Sinema is now a registered independent, and if she runs in a three-way race, I don't know what's going to happen. It depends on whose vote she takes with her. Does she take Democratic votes or Republican votes? Then you have Joe Biden in the White House. Joe just went down to the border. Of course, they sanitized it, made sure he didn't see any problems down there, didn't talk to anybody that really knew what was going on, and gave him a photo op so he can say, I've been to the border. He goes to Mexico to meet with the president of Mexico and Canada and comes away with not much said. And Bloomberg's now reporting that when they ran out of time to talk about migration, the single most important issue in North America of what's going on with migration on the southern border, they didn't get around to having time to talk about it. So what does all this mean politically? Well, Democratic strategists are telling Joe Biden, hey, run against the Republican House. If they focus on all this investigation after investigation and not passing legislation, you're going to come out looking like the good guy. They're telling him be poised to point out the problems they have. And so to the Republicans, they're going to have to get their act together. The Freedom Caucus is going to have to decide, do we like being in the majority? Or are we okay with being a minority and just howling at the moon? Well, the time has come when they need to skip behind Speaker McCarthy and back him, and let's get legislation passed and force the Democrats into a box. They'll have to send that legislation to the Senate, and if it's stuff the American people want, then it'll be the Senate that kills it, the Democrats in the Senate that kills it, and Joe Biden won't be able to run against them. And the backdrop in all this, of course, is Donald Trump. They need to get rid of him, get him off the ballot, make sure he is not the candidate, because if he is, Republicans are going to probably lose in 2024. This has been To My Liberal Friends. Thanks for listening.